Well, hi everybody, and hello and namaste. This is Alx Uttermann yet again from UCBK, the Universal Church of Baba's Kitchen here in Los Angeles, California. And we've been talking a lot over the last few days about the Navarathri time, the 9 days of Mother Divine. Today is the Vijaya Dashami, or the Dassara. Dassara is kind of like the extra day usually of Navarathri. There's 9 days of Navarathri and then comes Dassara. This year they're sort of compressed into the same day. And Dassara is the victory of the light over the darkness. It is the culminating day of Mother Divine coming in her very strong form as Devi, as like a Durga, a Kali, a huge total embodiment of Adi Parashakti to destroy the worst negativity on actually not only this planet, but many, many realms. And so I thought today what I will do, because it's such a special day, it's such a high, auspicious time for destroying any negativity that's torturing us, for blowing out anything, pretty much anywhere, that is negative, and replacing it with a high divine positivity. That's her gift to humanity every single year. Again and again, we recreate the creation story and the process of how this amazing mother came in such a big, fierce form and defeated the negativity. So I thought what I would do is actually read from the Devi Bhagavatam. Yes, I actually have a book, the Devi Bhagavatam, which is, this version is written by Ramesh Menon, one of the great retellings of the epic Purana, the epic story of Mother Divine. And to explain and to give the energy and the transmission of what today is all about. So yes, at UCBK, we'll also be doing a fire homa today. We will live stream that, although not on YouTube. It will be at a different place. You can find out about that at ucbk.org. Also, I'll be talking about a little bit before we start the tale, who is the mother? How is her energy coming today? How is it blessing everyone? And hope that you really enjoy this discussion of who is this mother, as like Durga, as the Devi, as the total embodiment of Adi Parashakti, coming to rebalance the negativity in this planet and make it really beautiful again. So I hope you enjoy. Sit back, relax, and here comes a beautiful story. So happy Dassara, everybody. It is Vijaya Dashami, the day of Mother's victory of the light over the darkness. If you're just joining for the first time, here's a quick recap. Who is this Mother Divine? Mother Divine is the divine feminine in this planet. She is the half of God that we don't talk about very much in the West. Let's say it like that. The creative principle, the force of creation, the power lady that brings everything into the manifest world, into the manifest creation, including all of our souls. She also comes with a lot of healing power, and indeed she can show up in any form at any time, including in all of us. But in her divine nature, in the Indian pantheon, there are like more than 30 million gods. Most of them are female. She can show up in all these different forms in order to help meet the need of whatever humanity is facing, that they need a form of Mother Divine to set things to rights. And that is really the theme of Dassara. So here we are at Dassara, highly auspicious day. It is the day, as I said before, of the victory of the light over the forces of darkness. And it seems every year I say, and our world really needs it now. And it's really true. So most especially the forces of darkness symbolized by this victory of the Devi over Mahishasura, the buffalo demon, which is the story that I'll be telling today. So Dassara's nature is how Mother defeats the symbol of negativity, Mahishasura. It's her big victory day. Vijaya Dashami means the big victory day. So who is Mahishasura? I'll give you some idea before I tell the story or read it actually from the Devi Bhagavatam. Mahishasura is a buffalo demon. Buffaloes signify the tamo guna. Tamo guna is the quality of this creation that is very slow, sluggish, selfish, not too bright, self-motivated really only. And Mahishasura is a demon, but he's like a buffalo form. Yes, he has horns. Yes, he has hooves and a tail, which is very likely where the Western concepts of demonic forces looking like that came from. And Mahishasura is a very interesting character. He meditates. He's there in blue in the bottom right corner. He meditates. And because it's a very interesting thing. The demons in the Vedic tradition of India, they meditate and they worship different forms of God. Why? Not because they're so pious or devout, but because they're incredibly transactional. They know if they do the meditation, they will receive the darshan, the the physical presence of that divine character standing right in front of them and blessing them whatever they ask. Like if you do X amount of this kind of mantra for X amount of years, you will get this sort of darshan of a divine form. Okay, so the demons are very disciplined because they're selfish. They want the results. So they're willing to do hard meditation in order to get some divine character to stand in front of them and bless them whatever crazy thing they want. And yes, they're demons. It's always crazy. So this demon gets a boon from, as it turns out, Brahma. And he asks Brahma that he can be essentially invincible, which is usually what the demons in the stories always want. And in this case, he cannot be killed by a man or a beast. Okay, but Brahma says to him, well, I'll bless you that man, but a woman will be the death of you. Okay, setting the stage, right? So Mahishasura goes completely crazy. Let me go back to him for a minute. He goes completely mad and he invades all the worlds. He takes over his hell realm, the Patala, the underworld. And then he takes over the earth plane. And then he comes up to the celestial planes and starts chasing all the gods around and killing them. These big divine battles are running. And the gods, as men, as male deities, are pretty helpless in the face of this demon who is incredibly powerful. And his armies are very fierce and very strong. And so they decide, oh my God, we need to fix this. And we need to fix this fast, especially because he and his hordes, Mahishasura and his hordes, are taking over the celestial realm. So that's the setup for the story. And here we are at the Devi Bhagavatam. And as they say, once upon a time. So what happens is the gods, as they scatter and freak out because this demon is coming, they run to Shiva. Shiva. So here's Shiva with the gods. And the story goes like this. They start begging Shiva to get rid of Mahishasura because he's torturing everybody, including all the forces of light, all the gods, all the divine forces. And they're talking about to Shiva. Brahma says, Deva, Mahisha, the Mahishasura, has scattered these lords of light like straws in a gale. They roam the worlds, homeless and hunted. The offerings from every fire homa on earth go now to the asuras, to the demons. And evil holds creation in the grip of its claw. We have come to you for your help. How can the gods be rid of Mahishasura? Shiva smiled at this and said, well, Brahma, it was you who gave Mahisha his boon. Indeed, you are the root of all that has happened. He can only be killed by a woman. But where shall we find a woman to vanquish this Danava, this demon who crushed us all in battle? Can any of the lovely forms of mother go to war? I don't think so. And even if they do, will they prevail who have never fought a battle in their lives, or will Mahishasura drink their blood? These female deities, they are no warriors. He saw the despair on the Deva, on the god's face, and fell silent. Then he said softly, Vishnu is the intelligent one, the savior. Let us go to Vaikunta, the realm of Vishnu. and ask him what we should do now. As soon as Shiva spoke, a strange surge of hope coursed through that opalescent mountain, through the gods and through Brahma. Eagerly, Indra, king of the gods, and his people cried, "Let us go to Vishnu, he will find a way." And here in the photo, I have the Kailash, the home of Shiva. So they're actually on this beautiful mountain, very sacred place in the Himalayas, the largest Shiva lingam in our planet, sacred to many, many different religions and spiritual paths in that region of the world. Okay, so the word is, let's go to Narayana. He will find a way. All around them, they saw auspicious omens. A fragrant wind swept sacred Kailash, laden with exquisite scents of heaven. The sky was clear and all the quarters bright, and birds broke out into song everywhere. And Shiva says, yep, go to Vishnu. He can fix it. Okay, so off we go to Shiva. So they come to Vaikuntha. And Vaikuntha is the most enchanted, most beautiful place in all the realms. Everything is beautiful water, beautiful plants, gorgeous birds. Everything is like a beautiful dream. And this is where Mahavishnu is living. So up they come, all the gods. I'm kind of synopsizing some of the story. I don't want to read all of the things. So they came to meet Mahavishnu in Vaikuntha, in his home place. Wow. And there's Mahavishnu and Lakshmi coming to meet everybody. And Mahavishnu and Lakshmi. So Vishnu rose at once and came out to meet his visitors. They stood careworn at his gates, but the very sight of him seemed to restore them, and he, the blue savior, moved affectionately amongst them, taking their hands and embracing them fondly. The gods praised him fervently, for he was their protector through the deep ages, the god who saved them time and time again from one great asura, demon or the other. Vishnu led them into his sabha, his meeting room, and there were 2 thrones set there for Shiva and Brahma, where only they ever sat. When they were all comfortably settled, Indra said, Jagannath, Mahavishnu, you are our last refuge, and we come to you in despair. Vishnu said, smiling, what grieves you, gods, that you have brought Brahma and Shiva here to Vaikuntha? Indra moaned, Mahishasura rules heaven and earth, my lord, and he torments us. We are like beasts in the world, hiding from his hunters, while he enjoys the benefits of every fire homa in the worlds. He tyrannizes the creation, and time flows darkly for his power. No man can kill the asura, that demon, for that is Brahma's boon to him. We beg you, Hari, Mahavishnu, deliver us from Mahisha. Find us a woman strong enough to slay him. Vishnu said musingly, we all fought him together, but he was invincible. It is true, only a Devi, only a goddess can kill Mahishasura. But who shall it be? Perhaps if all of us combine our Shaktis to create such a Devi, she will be equal to the task. And so the craziest thing happens. Out of each one of them comes their Shakti, their own force, their own energy. Out of all the divine beings, the gods, everybody comes together in this beautiful space in Mahavishnu's place. And they create a giant fire. All those Shaktis weave together in the hall there and create a huge, huge, huge fire. Ha, all the gods, just giving you some idea. Then one by one, all the gods emitted their Shaktis there, all brilliant, all fierce. And soon 18 pristine spirit flames burned in that meeting room. As the gods and the Trimurti, the 3 faces of the main gods, watched, even they awed. Those Shaktis flowed together at the heart of that august and ancient chamber into a single ineffable flame whose tongues licked the lofty ceiling. Why, the very room and Vaikuntha itself seemed to vanish for the brightness of that great female fire. It was mountainous, Himalayan, with 1,000 peaks, dancing. Mother Divine told us one time that the gods actually did this in a fire homa, that they put it together to make their Shaktis all blend together. You can see why the holy fires are so powerful, and came, in this case, this amorphous, gigantic form of the mother, just a pure flame to start with. Shading their eyes, the gods gazed at that fire, which once it had fused into a single blaze, began to lick together into a wondrous form. In awe, the Devas saw that a brilliant goddess was being born from it, and she was so beautiful that she defined beauty anew. It was the Devi Mahamaya herself, and she stepped from that Agni, tall as the sky, with 18 arms in this manifestation, though it is told she has 1,000 arms in her other cosmic form. Her face was white, her eyes black, her lips scarlet, and the palms of her soft hands were coppery. She wore ornaments that took even those gods' breath away, and in each of her 18 hands, she carried a dreadful weapon given to her by the gods. So when she stepped out from the Shakti fire of the gods, her face was white as a lotus and fierce. Her hair was black as the night of space where no sun burns, yet it was luminous. And then there's a very amazing description about every part of her and how utterly gorgeous she is, and how each one of the gods gives a part of their nature to form how superbly beautiful she is. She transformed the fire of all the devas, all the gods' Shakti, their force for her body, and stood dazzling before the gods in Vaikuntha. Vishnu was the first to regain enough composure to speak. He said softly, "Gods, give all your weapons to the Devi. She will have use for them against Mahishasura." And so every single one of the gods give their weapons to her in all of her arms, right? She's got plenty of them. Here she is with the faces of all the gods in her, all the divines, and they're all her weapons. So they load her up pretty good. Regally, the Devi climbed astride her beast, and the creature's roar of joy reverberated throughout creation. Wow. So then what happens? Now that she's here, and finally, when she's armed to the teeth and everything, Surya, the sun, gave a gift of his own light to that Devi, and she shone brighter than ever. And when she now stood before them, armed and bearing all their offerings in her many hands, they were overwhelmed and began a panegyric for her, for she was indeed Mahamaya, the great enchantress of the universe. They chanted her many endless names. Salutations, O most auspicious Devi, thou art peace and nurture, gentle Bhagavati, thou art Rudrani, terrible one, they sang. We worship you, O Kalaratri, night of the end of the world, O unborn mother of all things, great and small. Jagat Mata, the demon Mahishasura, torments us, and only you can kill him. We beg you, Mahamayi, deliver us from that demon. And they fell at her feet in tears. She laughed gently, and that sound sent a thrill of bliss coursing through them. The Devi spoke for the first time since she had appeared from the Shakti flames. This is amazing that Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, Indra, and all the gods stand before me, trembling for fear of a mere demon. Surely time is the only true God, for he brings sorrow and terror to the great and lifts the miserable to the loftiest thrones in creation. She paused to consider what she had said, and it seemed to amuse her, for she began to laugh. It was the strangest, most dreadful laughter. It was like roaring. And when the Devi threw back her head and laughed like that, the earth shook, the mountains trembled, the sky quaked, and the sea rose, the seas, plural, rose in tidal waves and lashed their shores. Even golden Meru at the heart of the world shuddered. But the gods were delighted. They fell at the roaring Devi's feet and cried, Jai Vijaya Bhava, be victorious. In the Devaloka, where he had just taken over a whole town, Mahishasura heard the goddess laughing, and he was angry. Who dared make such a noise when he, Mahishasura, ruled heaven and earth? He sent his scouts abroad to discover what the weird thunder was. Bring me the devil who dares make such a noise. I will drink his blood. But then who can this be? The gods I've crushed, and they and their kind hide in the wilderness in terror of me. No demon would dare make a terrible noise like this, for every demon in the creation serves me. Go, find out who roars like that and bring the villain to me. His scouts flew from Devaloka, and it was not hard for them to trace the macabre laughter to its source. Soon, Mahishasura's men stood before the Devi Bhagavatam, mounted on her beast, and oh, she was completely beautiful and entirely terrible as well. They saw her carrying unearthly weapons in her many hands and quaffing wine repeatedly from Kubera's golden cup till the scarlet stuff dribbled down her chin. Mahisha's Danavas, his demons, his army, took one look at the Lucific Devi. They couldn't bear the splendor and the fear of her, and they fled howling. They flew back to their master of darkness, and they cried, Lord, it is a woman who makes the strange sound. She is neither human nor a demoness, but she is exceptional and so beautiful that her beauty is a thing of terror. She is radiant, O Mahisha. She has many arms and carries a different weapon in each one. She sits astride a golden lion, wears ornaments such as we have not dreamed of, and swills crimson wine from a precious goblet. She drinks endlessly and then she laughs. The sound we hear is her laughter. The gods lie on their faces worshiping her and sing her praises devoutly. She is so refulgent. We could not look at her for more than a moment, and we were seized with a dread worse than that of death. We fled back to you. We don't know who the strange woman is, nor what she intends. Well, so what Mahishasura says is, fetch her to me. Oh, he loves the sound of this beautiful, amazing, divine something woman. Fetch her to me. At first try to coax her here with soft words and priceless gifts, but if these gentler means fail, then bring her by force. But be careful, I don't want her harmed. Oh no, I want her for myself. I mean to make her my queen. For by her very laughter, I can tell she is fit for me and no one else. Fly, my friends, I cannot wait to see her, to hold her in my arms. Oh boy, well, that didn't work out well. So he dispatches his agents and they go, they go to meet her and make their master's offer, I guess, proposal to her. She is not amused. When she heard Mahishasura's message to her, she threw back her head in a most fetching way and gave another great laugh. Then she said in her voice, deep as the rumbling of thunderclouds, you don't know me, Asura, demon. I am the Devi Mahalakshmi, and I have come to kill little Danavas like you. The gods live in terror of your master. They've been deprived of their share in the fire homas, in the yagyas of the world. The earth has become a sinister place since your Lord rules it. Go back to your master and tell him this from me. Evil one, leave Devaloka, the realm of the gods, the celestial, at once, and burrow down into Patala where you belong, or I will cut you into shreds with my arrows and send you to the halls of Yama, the god of death, as I have done with countless asuras like you before. Listen to me, foolish Danava, for I am showing you mercy. I am no man that Brahma's boon will save you from me. I am the Devi, and I have come just to kill you. Oh boy, so they take the message back and they explained to Mahishasura, who's extremely angry that she's rebuffed him, and they deliver her message, go back to your world. And this is not good. So then he sends more messengers, more things happen. Pretty much he kills his top generals because they won't listen. And that really, 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 really upsets Mahishasura when he gets the word that his generals have been killed, all his armies sent running and so on. Oh my God. So Mahishasura is really, really, really upset by this. And after a few rounds of it, it goes on for some pages. I won't read all those. Finally, he sends his top generals, and they are killed also by her. So it turns out that this female force, this amazing mother, is indeed a huge force to be reckoned with. And now, after all this, Mahishasura decides he's going to come and meet her himself. By now, there's been back and forth and back and forth. I don't know how many times her message has been sent to him, and it is always the same message. Go back to your world. Stop torturing the celestial plane. Leave us all alone. And if not, I will kill you. So once again, she routs all his armies, and that's when Mahishasura decides to come onto the battlefield himself. When Mahishasura heard the news of his general's demise, he decided it was time to take the field himself. That demon's heart fluttered at the very thought of seeing the Devi face to face. Strangely, he did not care that she was his enemy and that she had killed so many of his bravest, most loyal demon armies. No, she obsessed him night and day, and he must have her for his bed. He must, oh dear, hear her cries as he thrust his immense manhood into her body, soft as lotus petals. She must become his love slave. Nothing else would do, thought Mahisha, who had always had what he wanted. But then she may be repulsed by the sight of him as he usually was, half a black, shaggy beast with a tail and two horns on his head. So with his powerful Maya, he easily assumed a resplendent human form. So wearing lustrous silks and shimmering ornaments, he was as handsome as Kamadeva, the god of desire. The women in his own palace felt faint to see him like that, and he set out with an endless wave of soldiers to conquer the Devi Bhagavatam. When she saw him marching toward her, she raised her conch to her lips and blew a bass note on it, deep as the first sound from which time and place were made. Mahishasura came on serenely. He said to the Devi, "It is sweet delight that all the world hankers after." Lovely, lovely one, delight is never found in isolation, but in the company of a lover. He stopped to stare at her. He could hardly believe that anyone so beautiful could exist. His heart pounding, he went on, "I am your slave from this moment, that my eyes have been fortunate enough to see you. For you are far, far lovelier than I had heard. Your beauty exceeds my wildest dreams. Ah, look at you, Devi, your face, your neck, your breasts, your waist like a sigh, your flaring hips, your thighs, your exquisite legs, your crimson feet. Yes, my mind is made up," he says. "My life has changed forever from this moment. I mean to spend the rest of my days serving you as your slave. I will give up my enmity with Indra's people. You only have to ask it of me. I will do anything for you. Why, I think I would gladly give up my very life for your sake. Now come to me. You belong at my side. You are meant to be my queen. Come to me and let my life begin anew," says Mahishasura the demon to Mother Divine as the Devi. But she threw back her perfect head and laughed. "Gross Danava, I have not the faintest interest in pleasure, for I have eternal bliss, and what pleasure could compare with that? As for a man, the supreme Purusha, the infinite silence, is my Lord. How can I want any other, let alone you? Mahishasura, seek your peace. For only peace will give you the joy you are seeking. Woman is bondage, she will only bring torment to your life. Listen to me, Asura. Take yourself down to Patala, which is your natural home, or else prepare to die. 7 times you and I have exchanged these same words, you importuning me and me telling you to fly down to Patala or die. The wise say that when even enemies exchange words 7 times, friendship is struck up between them. So as you and I are now friends, I tell you as a friend, go down to Patala if you want to stay alive. But if it is death you are after, come, fight me, and I will gladly kill you. So Mahishasura is kind of stupid. And he keeps telling her how beautiful she is and how much she should be his partner. And he keeps protesting. And it goes on and on and on for pages, which I am going to skip over. And he tells all about his love for her and all this kind of nonsense. So she is at all not amused. And he tells her stories of historic lovers and all kinds of everything. And finally, he says, I lay my love at your feet. Don't spurn me, lovely one, and live to regret it someday when you find yourself shackled to a man who does not love you and betrays you at his whim. Come away with me. We were meant to be together, says this demon to the Supreme Mother. Take me for your husband, and we shall rule the worlds side by side. But she was unmoved. With the strangest smile, she said, go down into Patala or prepare to fight me. I see that you're a greater fool than I thought. Do you even know who I am, Danava? I am the mother of heaven and earth. I am the formless Parashakti. You see me like this because I have come to establish Dharma in the worlds, the Dharma that you seek to destroy. I have come to kill you, Mahisha, you son of a buffalo. Let us have done with words. Come, fight me now. She spoke with scorn sharper than arrows, and at last it dawned on Mahishasura, finally, Lord of Worlds, that she had indeed come to kill him and not to make love. His chest heaved and his eyes burned scarlet when he thought of her arrogance and how she spurned him again and again, calling him a buffalo son. That dreadful Asura's breath turned to fire when he thought of how many of his soldiers she had slain. Before her eyes, he was half a great beast again, big as a hill, with horns long as trees, his body covered in black fur, his long tail flicking from side to side. He stood before the Devi, pawing the earth and bellowing from time to time, awesome Mahishasura, conqueror of the gods. But she only laughed to see him like that, as if he was the most comical creature imaginable. In fury, Mahishasura covered her with 1,000 searing arrows, but she swept them aside with thought-like volleys of her own. Bellowing louder than ever, the Danava shot incendiary astras of dire sorcery at her, but she cut those down contemptuously as well and broke the bow in his hands. So then all his demon armies get into it. Everybody's coming, trying to hurt her, but she's completely rebuffing all of them. Her lion gets into it, and then he starts chasing them around as well. She smacks Mahishasura in the chest with her gada, with her mace. When he rose again, the demon charged his beautiful adversary with his mace in his hand. The Devi's lion loomed in the Danava's path, and Mahishasura fetched the beast a stupendous blow. The lion staggered briefly, then leapt at the demon and raked his chest with claws of iron. Blood flowed down Mahishasura's black chest in 4 streams, and the lion still rushed at him. Whoa, my goodness. Oh my gosh. Again and again, talons flailing. Suddenly, with Maya, Mahishasura turned himself into an enormous lion as well, and the two beasts fought tooth and nail, their roars shaking the holy ground upon which they fought, their blood flowing free under the sun. Yeah, that's when she hits him, when she sees her lion in trouble. And then he has to abandon the feline form and come back to becoming again himself. So he changes forms, he jumps around, he turns into an elephant and a this and a that and a bird and all these different things because he has Maya. He can also play, right? She keeps hitting him again and again and again, regardless of what form he is. And in a blink, Mahishasura was a steaming bull buffalo again. It charged the Devi with lowered, curved horns that seemed as long as time. Mahishasura, the buffalo demon, tore up vast hills by their roots and hurled them at the Devi. But she smashed them with stunning volleys from her fluent bow. She still swilled thirstily from her flagon of wine, and her clear and terrible laughter rang out across that endless battlefield, and Mahisha thought he would go mad just listening to her. Then he also threw back his horned head and bellowed with laughter. He roared at her, "Prepare to die now, lovely one. Let Yama enjoy your youth and beauty. I see now that you are mad, that you came to kill me, Mahishasura, the Lord of the worlds. I will have your head first, and then the heads of the godly cowards who sent you here. Stand and fight, woman. I will drink your blood today." She roared back, "I mean to end the god's fear today. I will part your foolish head from your ugly body. Ah, a little more wine for me, then the earth shall drink your blood." She drank again from her golden cup, and her eyes rolled now. Then she set her beast at Mahisha, and for the first time, she became the aggressor. She flew at the demon. The sky was full of divine voices crying encouragement to the Devi. Dundubis, berries, and turias echoed all around. Bright petal rain fell around the avenging goddess, and all the field was steeped in the scents of heaven. "Jai," they cried to her, the rishis, Gandharvas, Devas, Pisachas, Uragas, and Kinnaras, Siddhas, Charanas, Apsaras, and all the other races that had suffered Mahishasura's tyranny. Meanwhile, Mahishasura changed form swifter than time, becoming one dreadful creature after another, and attacked the Devi with weapons, claws, talons, beaks, fists, and his horns and hooves. Once he stuck her squarely through her dark breast with a twin-headed arrow like two serpents. Her eyes turned the color of the setting sun, and she cast her Trishula, her trident, like lightning at the demon. The trident stuck the Asura through his chest, drawing 3 fountains of blood from him as he fell unconscious. But he was up in a moment, and rushing at the Devi as a bull buffalo again, he kicked her in the face with flying hooves so that she almost fell off her lion's back. Seizing his advantage, he gored her and kicked her repeatedly until she was bathed in her own blood. Then her eyes glittered like cold blue stars, a spinning chakra. You can see it on her left upper hand there, which was the inner Shakti of the Sudarshana, appeared over one of her fingers, flaring like a wheel of the sun. She held it aloft so that the Danava had to shut his eyes. So bright is that Sudarshana chakra. In a final voice, she said to him, "Look, Asura, this is your death I have at my finger." She flicked her wrist forward, and the blinding chakra flashed at Mahishasura. The roar which erupted from his dark belly was cut short in the throat. The chakras struck his head from the neck in a blast of blood, which covered all that battlefield rich as red flowers of the spring. Like a mountain stream frothing from a cleft in the rocks, Mahisha's blood gushed from his severed throat, bubbling and warm. His huge body swayed for a moment, its hands still raised to seize the Devi's throat. Then it fell with a report that shook the three worlds, and bright Nagas, snake-like deities with jewels in their heads, came slithering out from Patala to see whether time was ending. When great Mahishasura fell, panic seized his Danavas, and that army of thousands fled howling in every direction. The Devi's golden lion chased them and gorged itself on demon flesh. Glowing now that her task was accomplished, the goddess took herself off the field of war and waited for the gods in the auspicious grove of trees. The Devas appeared there, fell at her feet, and began to eulogize the triumphant Devi. Oh, it is by your power that Brahma creates, Vishnu preserves, and Shiva destroys the universe. These three gods are helpless without you, Devi, cause of all causes. They are nothing without you, Mother. You are the primal power from which Hari and Hara, Vishnu and Shiva, were born. Mother, we thank you. You have freed us of the terrible Mahishasura. The worlds are liberated from evil's yoke. We, the Devas, breathe in peace once more. The Devi raised her hand over them in blessing and said, is there anything else I can do for you, Devas? They replied, Devi, all our purposes were achieved when you killed Mahishasura. Let the worlds worship you from now. Let your fame be like the very air that men breathe. She smiled at them radiantly and then vanished before their eyes. When the Devi vanished, the Devas, the gods, took up the task of establishing Dharma on the earth again. Indeed, by the goddess's grace and after the death of Mahishasura, their mission was not hard. For Dharma is natural to creation, and it subsides only when some great evil obscures it. Compassion and goodness welled naturally once more in men's hearts and in the hearts of all the created. Indra resumed his throne in heaven, and his Lokapalas were again the lords of the elements and of time. On Mahishasura's earthly throne, the Devas set Shatrugna, the king of Ayodhya, of the house of Ishvaku. Dharma returned to the three worlds. The clouds gathered again in season, and the fragrant rains fell. The world was blessed with a springtime of plenitude. And her fields were rich with rice and wheat, her trees festive with flowers and fruit. Cows yielded sweet milk now, while their udders had shriveled and dried during the years of Mahishasura's tyranny. The forests were full of rapturous bird song, and the subtle arteries of the earth surged in undiluted joy that the gods were in their heaven and all was well again above and below. The rivers and streams of the earth ran sparkling and crystalline, while their very waters seemed, I'm so sorry, I keep hitting the wrong button here. The rivers and streams of the earth ran sparkling and crystalline, while their very waters seemed to sing of the world's deliverance from evil. Charmed lakes were heavy with brilliant lotuses. Those mystic flowers had never bloomed when Mahishasura had lived. And all men lived in Dharma, in harmony with the world and themselves, and fulfilling their natural tasks. Most of all, the godlessness that had raised its head darkly in men's heart vanished, as if it had been a nightmare from which humankind had now awoken. The Vedas were sung, the Shastras studied, and the fires of yagnas, fire homas, lit homes and ashrams. Worship was the way once more, and it rendered life ambrosial. It was a time when it was more natural and easier to love your fellow man than hate him. There were no more wars in the world. Men were honest and satisfied with what they had. Envy and covetousness left their hearts as if they had never dwelt there at all. Women were chaste and their husbands faithful. Children revered their parents, and the tradition of guru and shishya, student, was stronger than ever. The Brahmanas of the world were exemplary priests. The Kshatriyas were just rulers. The Vaishyas, excellent tradesmen. And the Sudras, immaculate servitors and artists. No man exploited or abused his fellow, and fine harmony dwelt in all things. The rule of heaven was in the world, and peace and goodness dwelt in men's hearts. More than anything else, after Mahishasura's death, the worship of the Devi Bhagavatam, of Mother Divine, was established on the earth. Her temples were everywhere, and her grace. Sickness of spirit and body left the world. Men lived fruitful lives and died only in the fullness of time, when they had achieved all they had been born for. It was a blessed time, and the earth bloomed, and there was harmony in Swarga, the place of the Devas, the gods, in Bhumi, the earth, and Patala below, by the blessing of the Devi. And so this is what we're recreating today on the Dassara. This is the battle between light and dark that's happening. This is the time of the incredible victory of this amazing Mother Divine over the forces of darkness. And so what we have is the situation we always have in this world. A lot of negativity in the ascendant, obfuscating the truth, making human beings selfish and fighting and unhappy and wild in the negativity, unbalanced, right? Can't imagine a better time in our planet when the Mother coming as a very fierce, beautiful form, composed of all of the divines coming together, right? Unifying their energies to form her. That's a big hint to all of us, how we come together and represent the divine feminine when we come together. It's a huge point. And really timely right now in this moment of human history, and especially American history, to have the force and the grandeur and the grace of the Mother come back in this kind of a way and defeat the negativity, so that we have a chance to open the hearts again, to heal the souls, to have nature flourish, to have everything peaceful and in its place again, instead of so jangled and conflicted as it is right now. So that's about the Devi Bhagavatam, and that's a little flavor of what Dassara is like. And I want to also then show you a little bit about Shirdi Sai Baba, who is a magnificent, unbelievable divine character in all of our lives on this planet, whether we know him or not, and super linked to the Mother. And I'll explain why I'm talking about him in just a second. So, Shirdi Sai Baba on Dassara in 1918, a great, great saint in his 80s named Shirdi Sai Baba, often called Sai Baba of Shirdi, the original Sai Baba. He took his Mahasamadhi. So Mahasamadhi means he left his body finally as a final death. Shirdi Sai Baba was a miracle healing saint who lived in relative obscurity for most of his life. Yet he was a saint on the magnitude of a Jesus or a Buddha, amazing, stunning divine presence in our world. And he was a miracle healer. He was known for this. He lived the majority of his life as a beggar in the small town of Shirdi, which is why his name is Shirdi Sai Baba. Otherwise, he was pretty anonymous. A Baba is a generalized term for a father or a revered person, much in the way that we would call a Catholic priest a father in the West. So he's a Baba who lived in Shirdi, and somebody saw him and said, Sai, which I believe in Parsi one of the different ethnic groups inside India. It was a Parsi person, I think, who said Sai when he saw Baba, which means holy. And it just stuck. So his name literally is the Holy Father who lived in the town of Shirdi. He really had no name. People don't even know what his given name was. So he was this completely anonymous divine force who came to live in Shirdi in an abandoned mosque. Nobody knew, was he Hindu or Muslim? And that's pretty high stakes in India, especially in the 1800s. He dressed like an Islamic fakir. He lived in an abandoned mosque that had no roof. He didn't care at all about the material world. He only cared how he could bless humanity. He begged. Shirdi was a tiny place at that time, just 2 streets, I think, like 50 huts. And he would go every day and beg food from the same people. He would ask for 2 rupees from people, meaning faith and patience. Do you have 2 rupees for me? Baba would ask. And he demonstrated outrageous miracles. People in the village, really, they thought he was kind of crazy. So they sort of didn't know what to make of him. He didn't really have formal students. And mostly he just played out his leelas, his situations that he created to help the people around him wake up, punctuated by incredible miracles. And later in his life, he got a reputation as a healer, and people actually did come. A lot of people did come to see him. So he didn't remain entirely obscure, but most of his life, he was just that crazy guy who lives in Shirdi and does these crazy things. At one point, one of my favorite stories is that Baba was sitting by his fire. He always kept a fire pit, a duni, burning. And he was sitting around with his friends, this little group of people who were always around him there in the town of Shirdi. And he reached suddenly into the fire and pulled out a burning log. But he just pulled it out and burned his arm pretty good. And everybody was kind of freaking out. Oh my God, Baba, what's he doing? They put out the flames, you know. Oh, that crazy guy, what's he doing reaching in the fire like that? He didn't say, he didn't explain anything. And then a few days later, a young couple from a village about 30 kilometers away came to Shirdi to thank him. And why did they come to thank him? Because the young mother of this couple, husband and wife, with their little baby, she had been sitting on the floor in front of her cooking fire and forgot the baby was in her lap. And when she stood up, the baby fell into the fire. Well, they knew about Shirdi Baba. They were somehow devotees of his. And in that moment, when her child fell into the flames, she yelled, Baba, super loud, instantly. And the child bounced out of the flames, completely unscathed. Well, it was around that same time that Baba had pulled out the burning log from the fire in Shirdi and burned himself really badly in the process, taking the karmas of that little baby who would have died because he heard that mother call out on the subtle level. And in that moment, then his friends, his sort of quasi-students who weren't really students, they understood, oh my God, he did that. He did that. That's what that was. That's why he pulled that burning log out of the fire like that. It's interesting that he left that burn on his arm for the rest of his life. And my master Kaleshwar, who was a student of Shirdi Sai Baba, that's a whole other story. He said, why? Why do you think Baba did that? He could have healed it instantly. Why? And the answer is Baba left that burn unhealed in order to demonstrate the length that the divine will go to help humanity. So he was a great saint. And on the day that it was time to take his Mahasamadhi, Baba had been given a brick by his master, Venkusa, when he was 14 years old. And Venkusa had given it to him as a parting gift and said, you're going to sleep on this brick for the rest of your life. And I will talk to you through this brick, and you will be able to do miraculous things through this brick. So Baba slept on that brick every day and every night, sorry. And every day he had somebody who would come and clean his little space there, his little Dwarkamai in Shirdi. And on this day, Dassara in 1918, the person who was cleaning the brick, the brick snapped in half. It just snapped. And Baba saw that and he said, so I'm done. And Baba took on his on his form. He took the cancer of a dear, dear, dear student of his who had been suffering for 12 years, bedridden with a horrible cancer. Immediately, that character, Tatya, sat up in his bed, knew that he was fine, knew that Baba had taken it, and came running, as did many of the people in the village, because Baba was starting to vomit blood. He had taken this really severe cancer on himself. And Tatya yelled at Baba, "No, no, Baba, no, no, please give it back to me, give it back to me. The world needs you, Baba. They don't need me, please." And Baba slapped him characteristically and said, "Shut up, listen, you're going to be a great saint. You will help hundreds of thousands of people. You will reach so many more people than I did in this lifetime." And then he said, "Mother is calling, I have to go." So it was literally on Dassara, this day in 1918, that Shirdi Baba left the body to merge back into Mother Divine. And right before he died, he gave 9 coins. It's a very significant number. It's the number of the peak form of the mother as Kali. 9 powerful coins, 9 rupees, to a woman who had taken care of him for most of his life, Lakshmi Bai, wonderful, amazing lady. So he was blessing a woman with a very high divine gift there. And those 9 coins represent the 9 different doorways through which one can reach enlightenment or reach God. And then he gave his mantra for the first time. He never taught a mantra, really, his whole life. And he said, "If I have to go, Mother's calling, but if you want to reach me, you chant my mantra." And this is his mantra, which we will be chanting in our fire ceremony later today, as well as many, many mantras for the mother that we've covered in the preceding videos and the preceding 9 days of the Navarathri. But his mantra is this. It is so beautiful. Om Sai, Sri Sai, Jai Jai Sai. Om Sai, Sri Sai, Jai Jai Sai. Om Sai, Sri Sai, Jai Jai Sai. And if you want to connect to Shirdi Sai Baba, if you want to know who is this amazing, miraculous healing figure who is helping to power, even now, the spiritual evolution and the kind of revolution on this planet. He set things in motion from the 1800s into the early 1900s. Powerful forces that are still working on this planet today. Shirdi Baba today is one of the most beloved saints in all of India. There are like over 1 billion pictures of him in India. He's everywhere. He's on incense packages, and when you walk into a shop in India, as like as not, they'll have a photograph of Baba there, or a statue, or both. On the inside of taxi cabs, on the inside of cashier's boxes at the flower market. I mean, literally everywhere in India, there is Shirdi Baba, and there are little temples to him everywhere. Why? Because he delivers. He's like the postman. Whatever you ask him for, he gives. He just gives. He's so helpful. It's like he has everyone's back. And Shirdi Baba's statement is, two really important statements he made before he died. One was, "If you look to me, I will look to you." And the second one was, "I will give you what you are desiring so that then I can give you what I want to give you," which is really the highest, the real enlightenment and the consciousness. So a beautiful way to connect to him is through Om Sai, Sri Sai, Jai Jai Sai. And you can use it as a meditation. You can sing it. There are many, many musical versions of it. And when we do it in our homas, we sing it. Om Sai, Sri Sai, Jai Jai Sai. Om Sai, Sri Sai, Jai Jai Sai. Om Sai, Sri Sai, Jai Jai Sai. However you think to do it, however you like to do it. The point is, find out who he is. Connect to this amazing, divine kind of grandfather character who's looking out for all of us. His energy will be super strong today, which is also why we're invoking him on Dassara. and inviting him into our fire homa there to bless everybody really what they really want and what he really wants to give them. So, this is the Shirdi Sai Baba statue, a murti, a living presence in Penukonda, India. This was Dassara a couple years ago, actually. They make a huge, beautiful celebration puja to him as well, because it is his really special day. So not only is mother coming to defeat the forces of darkness with her unbelievable light, but also it's such a doorway to connect with Shirdi Sai Baba, the great miracle healing saint who is looking out for everybody. So hope this was helpful. Hope it's inspiring to you. I wish everybody a happy Dassara. Please join us at ucbk.org if you would like to know more about all kinds of amazing divine knowledge systems and meditations and work that we do. And gosh, have a magnificent day. May Mother bless you. May Shirdi Sai Baba bless you. And we will see you all very, very soon. And yes, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, because we'll be making many more videos and helpful teachings and inspiring, I hope, presentations. Namaste. And thank you so, so much for watching.